Hey, what's up everybody? This is Tim, and I am going to go over how to use TradingView today. And I have it opened up and I've already logged in. That way I don't have to show everybody my password. But the front page has your basic things, anything from stocks to crypto to anything you can really trade. Any assets or gold or hedges, stuff like that. Just regular stuff you can trade. So that's all TradingView is a hub for you to look at charts for stuff that you can trade, like stocks for your 401k if you want to keep up with it. So TradingView is a really good site, and I pay to use it, but you don't have to pay. In fact, I don't recommend you pay unless you really think you're going to get into trading and you want to use more indicators on your chart. If you don't pay, you can use 3, I believe. So I mean, like I said, if you're a new trader, then 3 is about all you need. You don't need to get confused with a bunch of different indicators, but you may want more as time passes. So at that point, I think the package I pay for is $15 a month. So it's not too bad. I feel like I owe them anyways because I use their platform so much. And, I got a lot of my followers on here. So I like to, give back a little bit. But anyways, let's get down to business. Bitcoin. I'm typing that in the search bar, and you get a bunch of things right here. You can see Ethereum, Bitcoin. You're like, what the heck? I'm looking for Bitcoin. That's what I want to look at. So you have a lot of different choices here. You could go through this whole list. It gets pretty long, you know what I mean? But let's go back up to the top. This is the ones that we really need to worry about. The Bitcoin dollar pairings. So you can see over here it tells you the two different or the different exchanges. And also XBT, you can see XBT right here is also abbreviation for Bitcoin. It's like if you're looking for BitMEX charts, you might want to type in XBT. But I'm looking for Tether, Bitcoin Tether. That's the Binance chart. That's the one I usually open up and look at. I've just been using that one for a long time. And you can tell because when you come down here, I've been charting it so long. I'm one of the top authors. It's just because I have a lot of time charting it. And of all time, I'm number 3 on the Binance charts. It's a charts I usually chart on, and I have a good following. So, anyways, we're moving on. We have a few different things on this page. This is more like an overview. You don't trade off of this chart down here. It's not really. It just kind of shows you an overview of the market or whatever. So, anyways, if you want to see the chart with the candles on it, you're going to press full feature chart, and it's going to pull up your typical chart you're used to right here. And you have your black lines on the back. That's the first thing I'm going to show you. If you want to keep that grid on there, I know a lot of people that do like to keep them on there, and I don't like it. I don't think they help. I think they are a little misleading at times. So what I do is you can go to your settings, you right click on your mouse, or I have a laptop, so I'm right clicking on my mouse or my laptop mouse and going to settings. Alright, you see the vertical grid lines? That's what these are. These black lines right here. I can turn those a different color. So I'm going to turn them white, just like the background. So now those disappeared. The only way you can really get them to disappear is turning them the same color as the background. So now, look, we don't have them anymore, which is what I wanted. I don't really like that stuff on there. If you want to keep them on there, more power to you. If they help you, that's up to you. Every trader's different, but I remember somebody told me this a while back to hey, take those grid lines off. They're misleading. And when I did, I think it helped me more than it hurt. So I said I'm gonna leave them off, and that's what I still have them off my chart just like it is here. So like I said, we're gonna keep them off the chart for now because I don't like them. But you have your green candles and your red candles on a chart. So this is just a typical candlestick chart. The wicks are here. Those are the smaller part of the candle. You see the little thinner part at the bottom. That's called a wick. And there's also some on top as well. And we'll get into that more as we discuss what all this stuff is about. But this is your typical chart. This is a 1-day chart. So each candle represents 24 hours. So it doesn't matter if it's a little candle like this one right here or a big red candle like this one. It still represents 24 hours no matter what. Every candle represents 1 day. They close at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's just, you could see the wicks are the extreme, how high it got that day. This is where it closed, or this is where it opened. This is where it closed. It's the wick is the wicks can go really deep sometimes. So like this wick went all the way down here and recovered all the way back up here within 24 hours, and it actually closed right there. The close on the green candles are always at the top. The close on the red candles are always at the bottom, and the close are and the open and close are always the big part of the candle. So uh, when it opens at the top of the green, I mean the bottom of the green, and closes at the top, and it opens at the top of the red and closes at the bottom. Even though the wicks show how high and low it got during the day, it still closes on the big part of the candle. That's how you could tell. That's what the significance of the candles are. It tells you how high it actually got, but see how when it got to 14K that day, it only stayed there for a short amount of time, and it came back down to about 13K within within a matter of hours. And that's because it was just overboard at 14K. There's a lot of people selling at that point. It shows how this wick tells you that. This wick shows us we rocketed up there and we got rejected big time. And you could see how bad that rejection was, because look, you could see we went from all the way up here to the next candle going all the way down to $10,500, which means that was a $4,000 within 2 days. So these two candles have like a $4,500 difference. So that shows you, these wicks show you a lot. That's what I'm trying to get at. So anyways, we could spend all day talking about this, but we're going to move on. There's a lot of different things you could figure out, but just looking at this chart, each red candle shows you, days we lost ground, and each green candle shows you days we gained ground. And you can see we had really sharp rise right here. Every candle right there is green, but every candle right here pretty much is red, so it shows you can easily tell when things are bearish and when things are bullish. And sometimes you get these wild candles that have really long wicks and not so long of a candle's body, and that's called, like this one for instance, you see this red one right here, it's really thin, it looks like an upside down cross, and that's called a doji. And they always pop up. You can see a lot of times they'll pop up at the bottom or top of a trend. So you can see right here, and it got to the bottom right here, a doji formed, and then we shot up, and then another doji formed, and guess what, we went down. So a lot of times they show you a lot more than people realize. You see a doji and you say, oh, it's just a slow candle, and it looks like a slow candle, but it shows you more than that. You need to understand there's some psychology involved in these candles, and each one could show you what the market is thinking at that time. And the more you look at the candles, the more you'll realize that. But anyways, like each one of these ups and downs, you can see, look, a doji here, up, doji here, down, doji here, up. So it just shows you, I mean, it doesn't happen every time, but you could see, if you see a doji at the bottom of a trend, or, I mean, not even at the bottom of a trend, but you could see we were going down, you see this doji, you could say, hey, maybe things are going to turn around, and you may want to start paying attention. So anyways, these candles tell you a lot. So anyways, moving on. We have all these different tools over here. This is the lines that you can draw. So this is a regular typical trend line. So let's say you want to draw a line from this wick all the way down to here, and shows people the trend that was going on. How we bounced here, bounced there, and then we eventually fell out of the triangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of this, because I usually have a black background, but I changed it to white because somebody told me it helps with the videos. So anyways, moving right along, there's my black line. That's what I'm going to use here because it shows up so nicely. And we got another, you see that little dotted line. It shows you where if you draw the line from here, you could draw the line perfectly across. You know what I mean? So that dotted line helps a lot. You need to use it to your advantage. So you can see this descending pattern ended with a breakout through the bottom, and that happens. But there's more to the picture than just this triangle. This triangle is very telling, but you want to understand why is it bouncing here? Why is there? I'll draw another trend line to show you. I mean, look, it's obviously bouncing off of this area right here, and we want to know, is there some sort of resistance there? And there's indicators that you could put onto the chart that can help you with that. But like I said, I'm going to delete that. If you want to delete a line, you could just click on it where you see the dots show up at the end, and then you could press delete on your keyboard and it'll just get rid of it. And that's that. But I'm going to leave those on there so you can see the pattern. We're going to use that in a second. But moving along, I'm going to show you another few of these. You could play with these. There's an arrow. I use this a lot. Like, you could be like, oh, did you see this doji right here? Oh, you can't really see it because it's white. Hold on, let me change the color. Just go into settings, come up here to the thing and turn it black as well. How about that? Alright, so there you go. You like, did you see this doji right here? And then you send your friend a picture of the chart and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it. So that or you can say, hey, did you see this uptrend right here? Look how sharp it was. And it's just a lot of the stuff on here is just to show other people what you're thinking. You don't really need to do it if you know what you're looking at. You know what I mean? A lot of people I know don't even know to use any of this stuff, but I just want to show you, some of the stuff that you could use on there, because it's really, some of the stuff is actually pretty useful. Now, horizontal ray I like that one. Like, you could figure out a spot. You're like, okay, there was a lot of support and resistance right in this area. So, bam. Ah, it's white too. Why did I do this? Here, let me go ahead and change that color as well. Ah, it's the wrong settings. Hold on. What a pain. Sorry, guys. Alright, we got it on there now, at least you could see. So you see what a horizontal line does. I'm going to do another one. Let's say, there was a lot of resistance. I'm just going to draw a random line here. And you see what it did? It drew a perfectly straight line all the way across. And it was very, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's as straight as it's going to be. So, I mean, if you want to draw a straight line, that's what that thing is for. Now, I'm going to show you another trick. This trend line, let's say you wanted to draw a trend line. You don't want to draw a never-ending line. That ray I drew never ends. If you keep going to the right, you'll keep seeing it. It'll never go away. So let's say you're trying to get this line straight and you can't do it. You're like, dang it, I can't get this straight. So you click on it, right click on it, go to settings. Well, here, let me do it right. Just dang thing. Okay, right click on it, go to settings. Alright, go to your coordinates, and you see how you have your price. What you could do is copy one or the other. Copy this one, paste it here, and then press OK. And now you have a perfectly straight line. That made this coordinate the same as this coordinate as far as price. So, I mean, that's another little trick you can use if you want a perfectly straight line. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't really totally necessary. Most of the time, TA isn't a bunch of straight lines. But if you want to do it, that's what you could do it that way. Now, moving along, there's some more indicators here that we're not going to really go into them. But like, let's say here's a fib. This is a traditional fib that a lot of traders use. And you click on it, come over here, start here, go up here. Okay, there's your fib. Now you have a fib on your chart. They're really easy to lay, a lot of these indicators. So now that you know how to do it, we'll move right along. I mean, I'm going to show you the rest of the, there's all kinds of different indicators in here that you can use. And in later videos that I may go over some of these things with you guys, but for now I'm just showing you how to use some of them. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. This is a paintbrush. You can do a lot of things. You could do a rectangle, let's say, hey, this is a good area to short it, and let's say, I mean, you know what I mean? You could just do anything like that. You could do a curve where it's like, hey, here, and then you can, kind of move it around. It's kind of, it's kind of like paintbrush. It gives you a lot of different things you can do so you can get your point across to other people. And that's about it, with this one. There's your text right here. Alright, so you can do all kinds of things, little balloons, price label. Well, I don't use hardly any of this stuff, but if you want, go check it out, I use text whenever I'm trying to write stuff like, death cross is coming, and that way I can get my point across without having to, what I mean, explain it through voice, because a lot of times you can't. You're just sharing a picture with people, so these little notes like this come in handy sometimes. So that's what the text is really for. This is a pattern identifier, really. There's all kinds of, for Elliott waves, and there's a head and shoulders pattern that you could use as well. Draw head and shoulders on the charts, etc. Stuff like that. It's just, this stuff is pretty advanced. I wouldn't recommend jumping right into this. You don't really need to use any of it, especially if you're just learning to trade. Now, if you're starting with Elliott waves, they may come in handy. I've never really done Elliott waves, but if the person training you or you're learning to use Elliott waves, then go ahead and try this one out. But I've never done it, so I'm not going to go over it. It's a lot of this stuff is a little too advanced for a beginner. But this is a lot of advanced stuff that you shouldn't be doing as well. But you can do it, like projections, ghost feed. If you go over to YouTube and watch a few how-to videos, they'll show you how to use some of this stuff. And you're more than welcome to give it a try. If you want to have a ghost feed, I've seen people use them, and they're very intriguing and cool. And I wish I could do them, but I'm still learning to use TradingView myself. This video is more or less just to show you all the basics, how to get started. It took me a long time to learn all the little tricks, like the coordinates I just showed you, or how to use a fib, or any of that stuff. So a lot of this stuff is just I'm just going over to help you out. So oops, I didn't mean to do that. So I have this on the chart. I didn't mean to put it on there, all this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Just press delete. Now, okay, so a magnet will make the candlestick. So like if I want to draw a line from here, I'm going to go ahead and delete this and redraw it with the candle, with the magnet on. Okay, so you see how each whenever I go to close to a candle, the dotted lines stick to the top of the candle wick, and that's because the magnet's on. It's going to automatically stick it to that wick. And you see how it hits every candle whenever I get close to it? It's because that's how the magnet works. It magnetizes to the candles, so it makes it to where it's more precise. So I recommend using it if you're trying to get precisely to the top of the candle or the candle wick. It comes in handy, and it's a very good tool. So like I said, but if you're like, let's say you're trying to draw an arrow, and you're like, hey, I'm trying to draw an arrow, but you can't. It sticks to these candles, so you're like, it drives me nuts sometimes. So you have to turn off that magnet, come over here, and then you can move your arrow to wherever you need to. So it comes in handy. It's that magnet is a good tool. I remember when somebody showed me how to use it, I was like, wow, it comes in handy when you're doing things like the fibs. So I recommend giving it a try. You know what I mean? Try out all this stuff in your own time, and have fun with it, and learn which indicators you want to learn, you want to use, and which ones that you believe in. And the more that you see on here, the more that you realize, okay, there's too much stuff on my chart. I need to get some of this stuff off. It's starting to get cluttered. So you can hold control and drag your mouse like this, and it'll highlight everything that's within that square, and you press delete, and it deletes all of it. So I didn't get all of it, but I did get a lot of it. So I'm going to hold control and do it again and go over the whole screen. Okay, so everything should be highlighted now. Well, I guess not. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. Click on that and press delete. I don't know why it's giving me heck. Alright, there we go. So we have a blank chart now. So what I'm going to do is go over here now. We're going to go over this. Like, if you could type in another symbol here, like let's say you wanted to look at Litecoin, LTC, and you get this big list of coins to look at. I'm going to go ahead and click one, Litecoin to Bitcoin on Kraken. XBT is Bitcoin. So you can see this. This is what the chart looks like, the daily chart for Bitcoin on Kraken for the daily. I've already drawn a few things on here. That's why you see all these lines. I have a lot of different charts, and I don't clean them up when I'm done. So that's why you see these lines. This is a fan, and this is a fib. So anyways, before we get too much confused, I'm going to go back to the old chart I was at, the Bitcoin tether right here. that's the one I like to use. Like I said, if you want to use a BitMEX chart, or if that's I recommend using the exchange you trade on. I'm not trading on Binance at the moment, but that's the charts I've been using for a long time, so I just kept using them. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to change the daily. Okay, so you can go to the 1 minute. This is a 1 minute candle. You can see how the candle's moving. It's pretty volatile on this in this respect, and you see the timer counting. There's 20 seconds left in this candle. Each one of these candles represents 1 minute. And you can see that the price doesn't change much over here. It goes from 85.76 to 85.12, so it's about a $60 worth of give here. So you could see that these candles may look dramatic, especially these with the big wicks, but there's not much into them. You know what I mean? There's $4 or $5. You know what I mean? So it's something to consider. A 1 minute candle gives you a lot of noise, and if you're a quick pace trader, then go for it. Use your 1 minute charts. You can make good trades off a 1 minute chart. Don't get me wrong, but if you're only if you're fast paced trading. If you're doing if you're a day trader where you don't trade fast paced, you don't need to look at the 1 minute chart too much. All it's going to do is give you a heart attack. But here's the 1 hour chart. This is about as low as I typically get, But I'm showing you that the difference. Each candle represents 1 hour in this scenario, and even this long, big green candle is the same as this short red nothing candle right here. You know what I mean? So they all represent 1 hour. There's 36 minutes left in this candle. And a lot of times it's weird, because it's not weird, it's understandable. At the end of the candle's life, you can see where it gets to about 2 minutes, they get really volatile. It looks like the bears and bulls are fighting to win the candle. And it's pretty interesting to watch sometimes. Sitting there, and I'll watch them whenever I have time to sit here and actually trade, and watch the charts when I trade and try to make good trades. But you'll see the candles really fighting at the end, and it happens more often than you realize, because a lot of people don't pay attention to the charts like that. But you could really see the candles dance at the end sometimes. And I recommend it, like at the end of an hour one day, check out the hourly chart and just see if it's dancing. A lot of times when it's ready to pop, it will. You can see a lot of jumpiness in the candles, and it's just something you should pay attention to. So moving right along, the 1 hour, there's all kinds. You can make your own time frames right down here. You can add it. I already added a bunch, so I'm not going to add any more. But here's the 1 day, the 4 hour. I use those all. The 4 hour I like to use a lot. The 1 day I like to use a lot. And anyways, so I'm going to go back to the 1 day. The 1 day is probably the most significant in my opinion. I think most traders use the 1 day, and that's why a lot of the stuff that happens on the 1 day time frame. Even if you don't see it, even on the weekly, it's not as significant as the 1 day. I think more traders look at the 1 day, so it makes it more significant in that retrospect. So we'll move along. This is how you change your candles. We're not going to go over any of these other candles, but there's plenty of different ways you can look at this chart, from line graph to baseline to Helkani Ashi. I'm going to stick with candles. I don't know how to use the other stuff. I mean, I'm sure some of it's pretty similar to the candles, but I'm not going to get into all that today. We're just trying to go over the simple things. So you can actually compare symbols. So I could throw this up and put in Litecoin here, and it'll throw a Litecoin line graph on this chart as well and compare it to Bitcoin percentage wise. It's a little confusing for noobs, so I don't suggest going into stuff like that. And if you do, you can watch videos on how to read it properly, because it's kind of confusing if you ask me, especially for a noob. So we'll move along to the indicators. Alright, I use a variety of indicators. These are the built-ins that I use. There's favorites you can make, but there's a public library. I usually stick with the basic, I will say it again, basic indicators that are always available to everybody. So I like to use the Ichimoku cloud right here. You can see I even have it start off. When you start it, it makes it one of your favorites. And I'll go ahead and put that on the chart, Ichimoku. Okay, so that's the first one I'm going to start with, and that's what this is. This green and then red. I'm going to go ahead and change it because I want it to be more defined than that. And I'm going to right click on it, go to settings. It keeps doing that. Here, I'm just going to go up here and go to the settings. Okay, so you have your settings. If you hold the mouse over, it'll tell you what it is. Settings. Alright, so lagging span, the guy that trained me said it's absolutely doesn't need to be on there. I'm sure it serves some sort of purpose, but I agree with him. I don't ever use it, so I take it off of there. It takes a little bit of the noise out of the graph because there's already too much on there for a noob. I'm just showing you what the indicators do. I like this one and I use it often, so I'm going to change the color a little darker on the green. See, I got a little darker. That's a little easier to see for me. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the red. And you know what I mean? It just shows people where the cloud is. The cloud is a indicator that can represent. You can see how it bounced off the edge right here. It entered the cloud, and then the cloud became resistance here. It broke through the cloud again. The cloud became support here. It broke back under. It shows you the cloud ends up being support and resistance because of it's a bunch of MAs or EMAs together, and they are used by a lot of traders. So you can see how the candles respected the edge of the cloud here. When the candles are inside the cloud, there's a consolidation. Now I'm not going to go over all what a cloud is, but I'm just trying to get my point across. This is one indicator that can help you on here. You can come in here and throw on here. You got moving averages. I use those a lot. They're very commonly used. So moving average. I put 2 on there, and I'll show you. I just clicked it twice. You see over here how it has 2 of them now, and I can go to settings. I have the orange one. That's the one I make the 50, and I'm going to come over here and make it the second line because it's a little thicker and it's easier to see. Now I'm going to input. I'm going to make that 50, and watch this orange line right here. Whenever I press OK, watch how it changes. It says now it's 50. It's the result, or it's the average of 50 candles. So this is the average of 50 candles, the last 50 candles where this orange line is. That's how the moving averages work. And this next moving average is blue, but I'm going to make it 200. I like to have the 200 day and the 50 day. Those are my preferred ones because most traders pay attention to that, and the death cross and the golden cross are with the 50 and 200 MAs. So it's a very commonly used indicator. So this is what a lot of my charts look like at the start. You know, fresh off the bat, I'll throw a Fibonacci on there, or a fan, or a lot of things on there, Bollinger Bands. But at the beginning, before I do anything, these are my go-to indicators. So this is a Tim chart through and through. But anyways, we're going to move on from indicators. That's how you use indicators, and there's tons of them in there. So I recommend, if you're going to learn to use them, I suggest you take your time and pick the ones that work. I stick with the basics, and that's who taught me. The guy who taught me that's all he uses, and he's a very successful trader. So moving over here, you can save your charts simply by pressing Control S. I have it set where it saves once every minute, I believe. So I don't really save it. But if you want to, let's say you make a few changes and you have to automatically leave, you can always press Control S, and it'll save, all your settings or whatever. So that way, when you come back, your chart looks exactly the same. If you don't do it, you have a risk of losing some of your changes that you have made within that minute. So if you want to publish a chart, you have to have a phone number with a account with a verified phone number. But let's say I wanted to publish this. I can go to publish. You have to type in your title, and then you have to give it a brief description. This is what I do every night for Crypto Coin Trader. I come in here and I type one, and then I type in a little of this info. I pick trend analysis, and then I come in here and type in the tags for the so XBT is Bitcoin. I type in BTC, and then Bitcoin. Those are my tags. So if people are looking for XBT chart, they'll see this chart, or if they're looking for a Bitcoin, and then I'll post it to Twitter. And that's how you share a chart. And when you do that, it shares the chart with everybody. And you have 15 minutes to delete it. If you don't, if you delete it within the 15 minutes, it goes away. But if you keep it for 15 minutes, it's on your profile forever. You cannot delete charts on TradingView. They do that for a reason, because people will make a call and then they'll delete it and act like they never did it. So it's more or less a way of credibility, and you know, it's a way to show people you aren't going to get away with lying, not on TradingView at least. It's transparent. So if you could see, you have to take the good with the bad when you trade, and people don't need to be following traders that are lying about their records just by simply deleting their posts. So that's a pretty good way to do things, if you ask me. I'm glad TradingView won't allow you to delete a chart. I mean, if you really want to delete a chart, I'm sure you can contact customer service and have them delete it, but it takes a lot more than just simply pressing a couple of buttons. So I think it's a good thing. Like I said, people shouldn't be lying about their track records. I like all my losses to be on profile, because I want people to see, hey, this guy's not perfect, so I'm gonna make sure I try to mitigate the risk no matter whose TA I'm following, because for me, I like to only use my TA. I don't want to be able to blame anybody else. I don't want to blame anybody else. I want to only blame myself. If I win, I want to be able to take all the glory, and if I lose, I want to learn from it. And the best way I learn to do that is by accepting responsibility and making your own trading calls and stuff like that. Don't rely on other people if you don't have to, you know. But anyways, moving right along. This is how you can get a full screen look at it here. I'm going to take this. This is your favorites bar. So anyways, you press escape to get out of the full screen. And your favorite bar is, like, let's say you wanted to have trend line on there. You click on this little star right here, and it adds it to your favorites bar down here. So just so y'all know, it's a little trick. It'll help you. That way you don't have to come up here and enter this to get to your your raise or your fib resistance speed, fib speed resistance band. It's just a quick way to do things. You know, TradingView tries to help us out where they can. So this is just your sidebar. It's got a few different things. You could set an alert. That's what this time clock. So let's say you wanted to set an alert. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all these. I think these are the ones I set before, but I don't ever use them. I just want to get rid of them and start fresh, so that way y'all could see what I'm dealing with. In fact, I don't even remember setting these. I guess I must have set them in the first video I did. I accidentally went to there. Let me get back to the Bitcoin chart. Sorry, guys. Alright, we're back at the Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one right here by clicking that. Alright, Bitcoin USDT. That's the one I'm on. I want it to, when it's crossing. It doesn't matter if it's going above or below. It's going to tell me when it crosses 10,000. So I have it set to $10,000. So if it happens to break up to $10,000 overnight, my computer's going to start ringing and telling me, hey, Tim, get up and short it, or do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Whatever I put down here, I could say time to short. And you know what I mean? It's just something you could type there. I mean, to remind you. And so it tells me the alert's on. I'll show you. There's it should be a line, I thought. Oh well, they don't have it on. Oh yeah, it's white. That's why. But there's a line that usually shows up here. It's white. That's why you can't see. I have to change the color. But it shows you where the alert is. So if it were to bounce up tonight above this orange line and get to 10K, my alarm's going to go off and wake me up so I can do what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I don't want it on. I don't need that on. It's gonna wake me up at night. But anyways, it's deleted. So there's a chat over here you could go to. I mean, I don't recommend going in there and asking a bunch of for a bunch of advice from those guys, because there's some people in there that like to give advice that really shouldn't. But there are people in there that are worth talking to. You know, I go in there a lot and just to have fun. Go in there in entertainment purposes only. Don't go in there thinking you're gonna find a bunch of Einsteins, because give or take, there's some in there, but there's not very many. There's your private chats. You can take one-on-one with people. You get notifications when people like your published charts. You know, this is just your typical stuff. Order panel. You could connect your exchange to the site. It's pretty cool, but I've never done it. It's not my stuff. I really probably would be cool to do, but I'm not that technical. So, anyways, I think we've gone over a lot of the basics that I wanted to cover today. Oh yeah, one more thing. This right here, this camera, you could take a snapshot. Now, if you copy this, it's not going to work. If you copy and share it, let's say you copy this and go to Facebook and paste it, it's not going to work. You need to come over here and press this, and it'll give you a URL to use. You can just press copy, and then you can go paste this link right here over on Facebook, and it'll share it with everybody, and it'll be a legit share where they can see the picture and everything. Otherwise, they won't be able to see anything. TradingView is real anal about that, so you have to remember that. Don't be sharing this URL. Share the one within the camera. So if you click the camera, press copy, you got the URL copied, and you can go paste it wherever, Twitter, wherever you want. So I think I've covered everything I'm going to cover with this video. So I appreciate you guys listening in, and if you have any questions or comments, why don't you leave them in the comment section of this video, and I will get back with you. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.